Before we start the video, I want to give a quick announcement. If you want to skip this announcement, you can by skipping on this timestamp right here. Anyways, I just want to congratulate on Castlewary for winning my shoutout giveaway on my Discord server. This channel consists of funny moments like Far Cry 3, Geometry Dash videos, and other games as well. And if you're still not intrigued, just look at his banner, how can you not resist? But anyways, if you want to participate in more events, more news, announcements, and even get notified on when I upload more of my stuff, all you gotta do is join my Discord server that's in the description below. But enough of me rambling, let's start the video. Hello everybody, what is up? This is Electrify, your #1 English source for 2.2 news here, and today I'll be talking and analyzing some new features on Jump Charge 2.2 that will really get you on your toes. There's some tidbits that appeared recently, and I'd say it's time to cover some new ones that we have so far. So right now, let's not waste time and let's get this show on the road as we look at some more interesting features for 2.2. So 2 weeks ago, Robta tweeted out an unlisted video titled which showcased the scale systems that he was talking about this entire time. Turns out, he was working on a new scale trigger, which is clearly shown in the video. Inside the video, you can notice a couple of interesting things. To start off, if you look in the object tabs, you may notice that there's a new tab lying around hidden. No one can really identify what that actually stands for. However, my theory on this new tab is that it definitely has to do with the platforming mode. I'm showing this because of the many times he's been showcasing platforming mode many times before, and since he's been only showcasing platforming mode for a while now, this might have to do with the fact that Robta might be hiding something further in the future, but that's just my guess. Another crazy feature that happened within the video is that he demonstrated the scale system and how it works. So essentially, it's kind of like using the shaper tool in Illustrator, right? You bend, extend, grow, and shrink any item, including the platform blocks, into any form. No longer do we have to use the scale slider anymore in Geometry Dash because it's pretty much the new way to use the scale system, which even works on platform blocks as well. On top of everything else, we even get a look at the new edit group menu, which showcases a few new buttons. The first button at the bottom has a new button that overlays the don't fade button that reads ECTS. No idea as to what that could possibly mean, but whatever. The other 5 other buttons on the right are sort of incomprehensible, except for the 2 on the sheer right. One of the eyes block, which I also don't really know what that could be. The next button that showcases non-stick, which could mean anything really. It might have to do with the stick controls on the platform mode, or it could possibly just be a debug button, which only Robta knows. Another thing to know is that there is a counter at the left side of the screen. Again, it could be a debug thing that Robta is working, or it could be something else that Robta is working on. What it also pulls out is the editor menu for the scale trigger. Inside the trigger, you can see loads of new objects, and it looks more complete. To start off, you have a scale X and a scale Y to transform the shape based on its length or height. Of course, we also get to see its move time slider and its easing type. The touch trigger and spawn trigger checkbox is there as always. The target group ID is where the object is going to transform, and the center ID is where the transformation is going to be centered off of. The lock object skill could possibly mean that the objects are going to transform separately, but not exactly transform in what you normally expect. The final thing that is shown is the only move skill, which I can't really tell what it's supposed to do. Anyone in the comment section can help me on this one. Robert then pauses to reveal more buttons. On the left side, you can see that the new button showcases are 4 new buttons. New Group X, New Group Y, Unlock Layers, and lastly, Create Loop. New Group X and New Group Y could possibly mean a new group ID for certain layers, or something else that I may not be certain of. Unlock Layers definitely has to do with the layers and the way you can lock them. Robta at one point specified the function of locking layers before, as I mentioned in one of my other 2.2 videos. When you can access the 2.2 editor on Geometry Dash World, you'll notice that you have a lock with a layer HUD. This is a new feature that clearly wasn't added onto 2.1 and might be implemented onto 2.2. This is known as layer locking. I'm going to assume this is like the same layer locking similar to what you do in Adobe Photoshop, whereas you can't do anything with that layer unless you unlock it. I don't know how useful this can be to creators. I don't know. I'm not a big creator on GD, so yeah, don't know how convenient this can be. Also, while on the editor for 2.2, you may have... And I believe this might have to do with locking layers. My best guess is that this is going to unlock every object and layer that it has. The Create Loop button is something that I was talking about later in the video, by the way. On the left side of the screen, you see a couple of new buttons that will be used onto 2.2. The new buttons that we have now are Preview Particles, which obviously shows off the particles. Preview anim, which might previews the skill triggers and other animations, and there's one that which we really can't depict on what it says. It took me a while to read it, but on the first word it says debug. However, I can't describe the next word in it, but I don't fucking know. I could probably say debug my mom, or who knows. Dipolo then creates a loop using the create loop button, which spawns the spawn trigger needed for the loop. Then he tested it on platform mode, which repeatedly enlarges and shrinks the cube that he was doing throughout the video. Then he tested it on platform mode, which repeatedly enlarges and shrinks the cube that he was doing throughout the video. The icon then jumps up and down, celebrating his accomplishment. Wow, that was a lot of things that need to be said on to the video. So starting off with the skill trigger, I never expected Robtop to actually implement the skill trigger on Geometry Dash at all, and he promised it would appear on 2.3. However, it turns out that he actually implemented this on 2.2. It literally shocked me to see that this actually worked on Geometry Dash at all, considering the amount of creativity that this trigger can have, especially with the platform mode. I could expect to see future levels where they can integrate through scale triggers, move trigger, and rotate triggers. As I was streaming on my channel, immediately a Twitter notification had popped out saying that Robert had posted a new tweet. I checked it out, and surprisingly, a new sneak peek had came out for 2.2. We are live, by the way. Wait! Robtop legit tweeted another video! Come on! At this very moment! It showcased exactly what the random trigger had to offer. He starts messing around with the spawn trigger, and then he gets onto the move trigger. Inside the move trigger, we can see a couple new changes being added onto the new update. On the corner, we can see a new checkbox that reads multi-trigger. Also below the move X and the move Y sliders, we can see two new checkboxes that reads lock to camera X and lock to camera Y. My best assumption is that objects will follow where the camera is at instead of the player. He then directs to the player as to what move command controls what, and then opens up the random trigger menu. Okay, so basically at the bottom we get the usual checkboxes, the touch triggered, spawn trigger, the new multi-triggered, and the activate group checkboxes there. It seems like you can activate any specific group IDs by random chances decided by any user as to however they want on it. Robert then adds in more IDs and splitting the chances between them. This could hypothetically mean that this may affect into every rotate trigger, scale triggers, move triggers, shake, and other trigger IDs. He then exits out of the menu and playtests it, with random cubes floating by statically and awkwardly. What Robtop pretty much did is assign each cube to the move triggers that were pointed out. He then created a loop that would infinitely add a random trigger as to how many times the move trigger will move the cubes, each by a 25% chance. So if one moves, the rest can't move. And it's going to create that loop that would infinitely do that, but with a small move delay. Then Robert pauses the game, revealing more interesting bits to see. In the top right corner of the screen, you can see he added a slow and normal button. I'm quite not sure what that could possibly mean. Probably has to do with the speed time in the game, but that's just my guess. Another thing that got me interested is this new info button at the bottom. I'm not really sure what that could possibly mean either, but since it is located next to the other options, it might be a new option that we are not supposed to know yet in the future. He then goes to the red cube to have a lower chance to move up to test out the random trigger. He goes to play test it, and sure enough, it works. He then ends the video by celebrating and jumping up the cube up and down. So far from what we analyzed in that video, it's safe to say that we are definitely getting around 13 to 34 new triggers in the update of 2.2. To be honest, I think that this would be a pretty cool feature to be added for platform mode on Geometry Dash. Not sure about what to say for normal mode, however, I can't seem to decide on what it could really open up to for normal mode that we are always used to be on. But I think that the random triggers could be used for things like mini games, such as a spin the wheel mini game or a boss battle fight on platform mode. Not going to lie, this seems way more intriguing than what Robert last posted about the other random trigger sneak peek. It shows us more in depth of what it can actually do, and it gives players more ideas as to what it could be used for. Hell, you're probably even wondering the same thought as well. So that is it for this video. So far, we literally got more in depth on the two sneak peeks that Robert Topala had to offer, and gotta say, for only two sneak peeks that lasted a minute long, there was a lot of features and options to beheld. We gotta look at the random trigger, the spawn trigger, we analyzed what new buttons we saw like the unlock layers button, the create loop button, and much more. I wanted to make this video, not only to showcase these videos to you, but only to analyze and discuss what this could possibly mean in the future. But let me know what you guys think. Do you have any more features that may come to place for 2.2? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, like if you like the video, subscribe if you like some of my videos and you're interested for more. And I'll see you guys then. Bye bye.